Before we start, just understand this is not a signal service. Everything you see here is for educational purposes only. Trading involves risk, and the goal here is not to follow trades, it's to learn the process behind them.
Good morning, and welcome to I'm the Trader Capital live trading floor. It's Friday, May 29th. First and foremost, all glory to the Most High God. Let's bow our head for a quick prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for your mercy and your grace. We thank you for another opportunity to learn, to try again, to grow in these markets. Father, we ask that your will be done today as it is in heaven. Father, we ask that you give us the heart of a giver and make us a lover of our neighbor. Please let me not lead anyone that listens to me astray, but use me as a vessel to bring your children back onto you. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Can the church say amen? Amen. Let's begin. Before we jump into the charts, I just want to say this. There was a time I used to sit down on the charts with no real plan, jumping between strategies, losing, blowing accounts, second guessing every entry, and honestly just hoping that the trade would work. And that's where most traders are today, not because they're not capable, but because they don't have a structured process. The biggest pitfalls that causes traders to fail is that they have no knowledge on money, they don't know how to lose, they don't know how the markets operate, and they don't have a winning model. 90% of traders fail, all 90% are plagued with one or more of these pitfalls. Today, I'm going to show you the 3 pillars that every trader must have in their trading to survive and thrive in the financial markets, so you can join the 10% who succeed and fast track your way to the top 1% of the wealthiest people on this planet. It's called the 10% to 1% club. Let's go. Woo! But before we dive deep into the 3 core pillars, when you step into this arena, on this battlefield, you must first have 2 crucial realizations. Realization number 1, trading is war. This is not a get rich quick scheme. This is the hardest thing that you will ever do in your life. Realization number 2, all traders are money managers. As a trader, your ability to manage money is vital to your survival in this industry and in life as we know it. Most traders think that success in the markets comes from finding the perfect strategy or catching the biggest moves. But the reality is, trading success is built on 3 core pillars. First is money and mindset. This is the foundation of success. Then is risk management. This is the holy grail of trading. This is what will keep you in the game long after everybody else has quit. And lastly, we have trading edge. This is where all traders start. I know this because this is where I started. That's why in today's session, we're going to hone in on your trading edge. Now, everything that we do here is built around one thing, and that is confidence in your trading edge. And at I'm the Trader Capital, our confidence comes from 3 things. First, it comes from understanding how the market actually operates. Not what social media says, but how money truly moves. Second is having one trader model. One model with IPDA signatures that we trust and execute on a consistent basis. Third is having a plan and a process, because without a plan and a process, you're just reacting to price and you're winging it each and every time. And this right here, this session, this is where we focus on the 3rd piece, the process. So many people lose confidence in trading and in life because they simply don't have a plan. There's no process they're following. There's no procedures and protocols that they're abiding by. They literally are just winging it. And they wonder why they can't get consistent. They wonder why there's ups and downs in their equity curves. They literally can't figure it out. The uncertainty of not knowing exactly what you're doing, how you're doing it, why and when you're doing it in the market will cause you to fail in trading. Confidence and certainty are key if you want to be successful in trading, and it's your responsibility as the trader, as the analyst, as the fund manager. It's your responsibility to attain that confidence, not only in your model, but also in your processes. So what I want to do right now real quickly is I want to share with you the process that we teach all our analysts at I'm the Trader Capital, and then we'll see that process live in action. This is the 3-step trading process. Step 1, condition. This is where we determine our bias. Before we even think about entering a trade, we need to know the market program. Are we in a buy program or sell program? This is where the market shows its hand. Then we have step 2, stage. This is what sets up your trade and what does your trade look like. There are 2 types of trades, retracement setups and continuation setup. Then we have step 3, execution. This is how you're going to enter, manage, and close the trade. At I'm the Trader Capital, we have 4 entry criteria before executing. I'm not here to force trades. I'm here to execute my plan step by step in real time. All right, let's get into the live trading flow. Now, as you're watching, don't just look for entries. Pay attention to the process behind the entries, because this is what will get you into the 10% of traders who succeed. And if you want to go further to the 1%, well, that's where we break down all 3 pillars inside of the program. I used to think that winning trades built confidence, but it's not the wins. It's knowing exactly what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it, and why you're doing it before, during, and after each trade. And that is what we're building here. Let's begin with our daily trading processes. Weekly target going to this week. I don't know why this thing is showing here. I didn't tell you to show. Weekly target going to this week is 3%. Obviously, there's only been 2 really trading days for this week for me. Yeah. Mental check-in, feeling generally okay, all right? Still in pain, but you know, we're here, we're live, we're active. It's Friday, Money and Mindset Friday. Let's get it going. But excited to see what price action has in store for us today. Excited to continue to grow, all right, get 1% better in these markets, in these charts. I accept any risk that comes with trading today. I understand that trading comes with real risk and that losing is part of the battle. News, all right, like I said, it's Friday, May 29th. We had 8 high impact news come out at 8:30. Medium impact news coming out at 9:45. So we have news today, all right, making it an optimal day to take a trade. Risk going into today, we're at 0.25 of account size, and we have a max of 0.7 per account per day. Weekly program going to this week has been established as a buy program. Let's go ahead and review price action overnight to see if anything's happened in price to change our weekly program for us here at I'm the Trader Capital. Full transparency here. I took 2 L's yesterday. One was on me, all right, but the other one, it was a fair loss, right? I will take again over and over and over again. We'll discuss it in a second if we have time after we're done with our morning processes. Hold on. Nope, nothing's happened to change our weekly program. Okay, for our weekly program to change, price would have to come down and take Tuesday's low down here. Okay, but for now, all right, we took buy side here, confirmed our weekly program as a buy program. We had a retracement back into a discount array. All right, it was a daily and 4-hour array. Okay, and now price is continuing higher to take 20-day high as well. Okay, so nothing's happened in price to change our weekly program. So let's go ahead and proceed. Let's adjust our week higher time frame dealing ranges, all right, because that's all we trade here, just the dealing range, different dealing ranges. Previous day, get that in there. So we took previous day's high already, all right. So if you're using previous day as your step 1 condition, all right, you'd be in a buy program going into today, and also which will also be in line with the weekly program. Okay, so remember, there's different ways to determine your condition, right? For me, all right, I use obviously I use 12 a.m. of the current day to the current price action. But if you want, you can use previous day's range, you can use previous week's range, all right? Just depends on what kind of trader that you want to be and how many setups that you want to be taking, right? Or you can even use open range, session range to determine your condition, okay? Obviously for the higher time frame condition, I used 20-day range, all right? The 20-day look back range, and that determines my higher time frame condition. Okay, so far my 20-day is suggesting a buy program, okay, because we've been constantly taking the buy side on the 20-day, okay, which is not necessary, all right. It's really not all this is not necessary for day trading, all right, but it's always good, important information to know and be aware of. But you can see price came into this weekly inefficiency, all right, just the top of it, all right, and then continue higher. So we're strong to the upside here, strong to the upside, and nothing's changed that for us here on the higher time frame. worst day, you know. This is the worst day. One thing I noticed, or didn't, not that I noticed, but one thing of note to mention from yesterday, okay, is that opening range gap. As you remember, when we kicked off and I saw that open range gap, I'm like, what the hell is this, right? When I see a gap like this, all right, these are days I'm just gonna let go. I'm gonna look at the gap and I'm gonna proceed with whatever the hell I got going on for that day, and I ain't taking any trades. And I know exactly why I took my losses yesterday. All right, it's because of this open range gap here. All right, I want to see a decent size open range gap if I'm gonna partake in that price action. If I don't see a decent size open range gap, all right, then that just automatically takes me out for the day. Okay, and that's a procedure and protocol that I'm going to add onto my list of procedures and protocols. Okay, so next time we see a gap like that, just say, hey, remember Alice, remember you said you won't be trading if we see these kind of gaps here. All right, let's talk about what we need to talk about today and let the price action do their thing and stay away from this chart. All right, note to self. I'm gonna add that to my procedures and protocols. I'm running out of space here. In my notepad. Small opening range gap equals no trading. Come on now. You gotta set limits for yourself in these markets, right? You gotta pay attention to the data and what the data is given to you back, and then you make procedures and protocols. You refine, you adjust your processes based on the data that you're collecting. This is not the first time this has happened, okay? That's why I already knew what was going on from yesterday, but it's not something that I've been obviously implementing, so just kind of escaped my mind. Anyway, step one, condition for me, all right, for me to establish my condition from 12 a.m. to current price action. All right, I'll go ahead and note the lowest low to highest high. Lowest low is the 12 a.m. candle. To highest high. Just like that, that will give me my dealing range for the day. Okay. Yeah. Above that, we have 20-day high, which is currently all-time highs, which was the draw from yesterday. Obviously, we didn't hit it. I'll be adjusting it on this candle. Okay. It has to be on the complete of the 9:15 candle. Okay. I don't like it any other way. So technically, for me, it's 12 a.m. to 9:15. I will be adjusting it once this candle closes. Oh, we've taken 20-day high. Okay, we've taken 20-day high. We've taken our draw on liquidity already. Didn't give us an opportunity. All right, decent size open range gap there. And we're taking dealing range buy side. So our condition has been established as a buy program in line with our weekly program. Also in line with our higher time frame program, 20-day program. There's nothing here is saying that price wants to go lower. All right. Like I said, decent size open range gap, okay? So we should see some decent price action, at least for me anyway, on my side here. This is a decent size enough for me to enter the market. It's below price. Okay, so we gapped up, so we have a premium gap up. Below dealing range, we have Asia session sell side. Inside of it, we got London session sell side. And then AM session sell side from yesterday, below price as well. It's Money and Mindset Friday. Get your money right for the weekend so you don't go out and splash it. So you know exactly what you're doing with it. End your week right with your money on your mind, mind on your money. Da 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 da. Ooh, we. Man is dying out here in these streets, boy. Fucking hell, mate. Let's get this thing back. It's on the wrong thing, but it doesn't matter. We can make this work regardless. Making all-time highs, all-time highs. Next draw right now is standard deviation of open range, dealing range, sorry. Let me see what count I'm on. Okay, that's what it is, that's what it is. You're next in line, you're next in line. One second. Tidal wave, just hitting me back and forth, just hitting me. We here though, we here, we live. It's Friday, it's Money and Mindset Friday. We in pain, but we pushing through, we pushing through. Ooh, mamacita, señorita. Ooh. Money and Mindset Friday, first and most important pillar. All right, in the 3 pillars here that we base our trade and business on. Okay, this is the foundation of our trade and business here. All right, these 3 pillars. All right, first is money and mindset. Right, this is the most important. It doesn't matter what profession, right, you want to get into, right, whether it's the financial market, whether it's just business, whether it's whatever it is that you want to get into, right. Money and mindset is the foundation of everything. All right, foundation of everything, right. You have to have your mindset on money, right? Okay, because a lot of us, right, we've been taught or haven't even been taught about money, right? We don't know much about money, all right, aside from needing it, right, aside from the importance of it, right. We don't know, we don't really have a mindset or thinking of money, right, really and truly. It hasn't been cultivated, right. We don't have the right thinking, proper thinking of mindset. All right, for me, okay, for me personally, all right, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate. Because I ain't special. Right. I'm not special. I understand that. I know that. I'm just a regular schmegular chick, right? We all go through things. We all been through things, right? Nobody's story is special, all right? Nobody's story is special. But anyway, for me personally, right? I grew up with a immigrant African single mother, right? She migrated to London, obviously seeking a better life for her and her family and her children, obviously. So she didn't really know much about money. Okay, aside from that, she needed it, all right, to take care of herself and her family and her two kids at the time. Okay, yeah. So she didn't really impart any wisdom on money for me, right? What I took from her is that she was a go-getter, right? My mom is about her money. If you know anything about my vida, she is about her money. She's about her coin. She's a scammer, and I'm proud to say that she's a scammer. All right, because that lady will do whatever she needs to do when it comes to getting that money. All right, and it's not just for her. She's not doing it just for her. She's doing it for herself and her family. Okay, she had 2 kids to feed. All right, so she had to do what she had to do. Right, she didn't really impart any wisdom on money to me. Okay, what I took from her, as I was saying, is that to get the money, right? We need money, had to get money, all right? So one thing that I do appreciate her for is her mindset and her go-getter attitude that she had in terms of doing what she needed to do to take care of her family, okay? So she didn't really teach me much about money, all right? Aside from needing it, all right, or money and needing one, knowing that I needed money, right, obviously to survive because we live on an economical planet. She didn't really impart much wisdom about money to me, okay? So for me, when I first got introduced to trading, I didn't really know nothing about money. I didn't know how money worked. I didn't know like the who behind money, all right? How do you get it? How do you keep it? How do you get it to multiply, right? All I knew was that, hey, I got bills now, all right? I need to take care of myself. I'm in this country. I know nobody. Obviously, I don't come from a rich family, so I can't be dependent on my mom, all right, to take care of me while I was here, all right, in the US, okay? So I needed to make money. I needed to feed myself. I needed to take care of myself, and I didn't want to put my burdens on her, okay, continuously, okay? So I was just in search of ways to make money, right? Had to make money. I knew I had to make money, okay? Actually, I don't make money, right? I had to get money, right? We don't make money, we have to get money. I just knew I had to get to the money, right? I just knew I had to get it and I needed it, all right? Because we live on an economical planet. But while I was obviously getting more deeper into my trading career, I started to do more research on money, understanding it, having my mindset and, how I'm thinking about money. Like, I just started to ask questions, right? Just curiosity kills the cat. Oh, I had to make sure my mic was on because I turned it off and I would hate to be talking and the bitch is dead. Like, what are you saying? If ever I'm talking, you see me like running my trap as I do, and you're not hearing anything, please let a nigga know. Please let me know in the chat. Hey, we can't hear you, rambler tumbler. We can't hear you. But anyway, Yeah, I didn't really know much about money, right? Just ask yourself right now, like, what do you really know about money, right? Aside from the fact that you need it, right, to survive, to pay your bills, to feed yourself and your family, like, what else do you really know about money? Like, that was what I when I really started to get into trading. Those are the questions that started to pop into my head, like, what have I been taught about money? Like, what do I know about money? Who's influenced me about money? Like, what am I doing once I got to that point where I was making money in this industry? What am I going to do with that money, right? Is it just what to keep paying my bills and feeding myself? Like, what is it? What is this concept, this thing that we call money, like, and what is it all about, right? So you have to, like I was saying, curiosity kills the cat. Well, curiosity doesn't kill the cat. I didn't mean to say, like, it does kill the cat though. But curiosity, right? You have thoughts and questions about certain things, right? Do the research. As I always said, trust but verify. Trust but verify. If you don't know what you don't know, right? And it's up to you to seek that knowledge, seek the information, and not just take what anybody's saying as law or as, yeah, that's what it is, right? What have you been taught about money? What do you believe to be true about money that isn't really true, right? And that's with anything and everything that you've been told. Like, what has somebody taught you about something that it's not true, but you've taken it as truth, right? Because you don't know anything else, right? And you haven't actually seek the wisdom or done the research yourself to be like, this person said this, but is that actually true? Has there been somebody else that's proven that this isn't really true, right? And that's the questions that I started to ask myself about money, right? No fault of my mother, okay? No fault of my mother. Nobody taught her, right? Nobody taught her about money, so how is she supposed to know something that she didn't know, right? For her, obviously, she didn't have the time to be seeking information. She had two kids, right? She had two kids, three mouths to feed, right? So she wasn't worried about mindset about money and all of this junk, right? She was worried about getting to the money to take care of herself and her kids, right? In a foreign land, in a foreign country, okay? That she didn't know anything about, right? So, like I said all the time, is in each family, it takes one person, right? It's gonna take one person to change that family's history for generation, right? And for me, that's for my family, that's me. If you're here, you're listening to me right now, for your family, that's you, okay? It's a big responsibility, but it is what it is. You're here, you're listening to me, so you've taken that role on to be that person that changes your family's history for generation. All right, let's make it happen. But anyway, money. When it comes to money, right, it's important. We all know that, right? Nobody can tell me money isn't important, right? It isn't everything, right? That's a misconception and myth about money, which we'll get into in a bit, okay? But money is a central part of our lives, right? It affects every individual, regardless of background or circumstances, okay? In this presentation about money and mindset, right? We're going to explore why money is crucial, the misconceptions surrounding it, and its impact on our ability to lead a successful, fulfilling lives, okay? By the end of this presentation, you understand the importance of earning, managing, and growing your wealth effectively, okay? It's important, it's important. Don't let nobody tell you that money is important. It is, it is, it is, it is, it is. And enough money isn't enough money, okay? We want abundance, all right? I say I hate when people say I just want enough to be comfortable. I just want to live a comfortable life. What's comfortable though? What's comfortable really and truly? I hate that. I hate that. I hate when people say that. And if you think like that, I don't want to be around you, right? If you just want enough to be comfortable, I don't want to be around you. I don't want you around me. I don't want you corrupting my mindset in terms of where I'm going. I don't want you to make me feel some type of way in terms of what I want in life, okay? So if that's how you think, good for you, and fair enough. I hope that I can get you to change that mindset, okay, today. But just know that comfortable isn't where you want to be, right? We want abundance, all right? In everything that we do, we want abundance. I said this before. I'm going to continue to say this. I want abundance in my finances. I want abundance in my relationships. I want abundance in my spirituality, okay? I want abundance in everything that I do, okay? I don't want to be comfortable. I never want to live comfortably. Okay? All right. We established that? Okay. From the moment we're born, all right, money plays a role in our lives, all right? Money impacts access to essential resources such as food, healthcare, and education, right? If you want to wipe your ass, okay, you need money to do that, unfortunately, okay, on this world that we live in. We live on an economical planet, right? Money is important, okay? all right? It influences the opportunities available to us in our ability to achieve personal and professional goals, okay? It doesn't take money to make money. It doesn't take money to make money. That's also a misconception and a myth about money. Ooh, oopsies. This bad boy is just running. I see this. Do I see that? Yeah, no. No, I don't see that. I do see this though right here. Support in time frame. I do see that. Same thing we saw yesterday. But it's not significant high for me, okay? But I'm paying attention here. I see you. Nothing for me to do here, all right? It's running away from all of my prices, all right? I even also don't even have time, to be honest, okay? Right now, I'm waiting for open range to complete, all right? Then we'll have open range, range, high and low, okay? Then we'll go based off of that. But for right now, we're in no man's land, okay? We're in uncharted territory, and there's nothing for me personally to do in these markets here. But I do see stuff here on this 15-second time frame. I do see you. Key high, all right, external liquidity, all right, both 20-day high and also dealer range high, right? Take liquidity below it. Market structure shift back above it right here. But for now, right now, all right, it's a supporting time frame. I would have loved to see at least, right, for the 1 minute for price when it dropped back below external liquidity to come into an inefficiency. Oh, it did come into a gap. A gap is not a gap. A wick. Wicks are inefficiencies, but I don't use those yet. Okay, but that's good data to collect. No, you gonna lie. Yeah, as I was saying, I would have loved for it to either come into a 1 minute inefficiency below the external liquidity or take a 1 minute short-term low below the external liquidity, and then the market structure shift on the 15 seconds would have been a valid entry for me, okay? Like I said, 15 seconds right now is just a supporting time frame to my 1 minute. It's just a supporting time frame. All right, it's not a lead yet, okay? Until I collect more data and build more confidence on the 15-second time frame, is right now it's just acting as a supporting actress, okay, to my 1 minute. Doesn't have a leading role yet, but it is auditioning, right? It's auditioning for that leading role, okay, that I'm auditioning for. It's auditioning right now. Not enough data for me to be like, yeah, you got the role. I still need to see what it can do. But so far, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching it, taking my time with it, building that relationship back up again on this time frame. Anyway, this would have to be in a different account because it's a 30 setup regardless, all right? 950 macro, kicking off. Nothing here. We have time, but no price, okay? Like I said, I'll be waiting till 10 o'clock for opening range to complete, and then we'll get that high and low. And then from there, we'll see what price is saying. Because right now, we have time, okay? We have time, but my price is all the way down here, right? We have dealing range high, we have 20-day high, all below price right now. So nothing for me to do where price is at right now. We in uncharted territory. No man's land for me personally, okay? And what we're looking for here at the Trader Capital. Anyway, we're talking about money. We're talking about money and mindset. Mind on your money on your mind. All right, so you go into this weekend not doing what the 99% are doing, all right? But you start thinking about how the 1% think and what they're doing with their money, all right? So when you go into the weekend, you know exactly what you're doing with your money, okay? You're not going out and blowing it and spending on lifestyle and entertainment, because that's not what it's about, okay? Then you're stuck in that wheel, all right, in the rat wheel, working, trading your time, your most valuable asset, your time. But anyway, we'll get more into detail on that when we get there. But this here, all right, money and mindset, Monday and Fridays. We start the week off right, with money on your mind, all right? Your mindset, we adjust, we erase everything that you think you know about money, all right? We curate the proper information, all right? get you thinking right about money, right? While you're working, while you're trading your time for your money, you understand you're doing it with a purpose, right? You're not doing it to blow it on the weekend, all right? And then be stuck in that same position on Monday each and every week. And then Fridays, all right, we end the week, right? With money on your mind. So you go into the weekend, because the weekend is designed to make you weak, is designed to get you to blow your money, is designed for you to fail. All right, so I want you to go into the weekend with a proper mindset. All right, this is called the 10% to 1% club for a reason. Okay, we're not just trying to get to the 10% of traders who succeed. All right, once we get to that 10%, it's then our duty. All right, we're already close to the 1% after 10%, right? It's our duty, it's our roles, our responsibility as generational wealth creators, right? Family history changes in our family, because that's what we are, right? It's our duty to then, right, proceed to the 1% club. And in order to do that, we need to know what they think and what they do with their money, right? So a person's ability, all right, to do well in this life, right, depends on your ability to get money, keep it, and get it to multiply. And that's what we're talking about today, okay? Money and mindset. But when it comes to money, right, there's a lot of misconceptions, all right, and a lot of myths about money, right, that's keeping us broke and keeping us where we are right now. And we're gonna get into some in a bit. I did adjust that presentation, but I also it's not ready. It's not ready. Before we get into the misconceptions and myths about money, though, right? Let's talk a little bit about the harsh reality of poverty, right? If you look around you, right? If you look around you, people, nations, country, those with little to no money are the ones that are suffering the most, right? Those are suffering the most are those with little to no money. The people, they come in communities, all right, countries, nations, all right. They have limited access, all right. Lack of money restricts access to basic needs, education, and healthcare. Okay. Obviously, this has a health impact, all right? Financial constraints lead to poor nutrition, okay? Inadequate healthcare and higher risk of illness, okay? If you don't have money to take care of yourself, right, you're at risk, all right? We talk about risk all the time here, all right? There's risk in everything that we do here, especially in the financial markets, okay? But just in life, in general, there's a risk in life, right? And if you don't have money, you're at more risk. You're at more risk. And coming from somebody that's been broke, I wouldn't say I'm still broke. Okay, my bank account would say that though, but my mindset isn't though. All right, my mindset isn't. All right, coming from somebody obviously that's come from a place with little to no money and still don't have and still has little to no money. Okay, being quote unquote broke, all right, is hard, all right, it's tough. It makes trading even harder than it needs to be, okay, because if you come into the financial markets with a desperate mindset, a desperation, and a need for money, all right, you're not going to make it, okay. You need to put aside all aspirations of making money, everything needing money to the side when you step into here, okay, because it's 90% mental, okay. All right, as somebody that's working out of where I'm at, right? I understand the struggles. I'm with you. I get it. Okay, but just where you are doesn't determine where you're going. Okay, that's why my main focus is where I'm going, not where I'm at. All right. Sometimes, obviously, it's hard because we're humans, and I get stuck and fixated on where I'm at right now, and it brings me down a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. All right, it brings me down. Okay, and I get into that doubt mindset, okay, and it's okay to have days like that. There's nothing wrong with having days like that, but just understand where you're going, all right. Where you are doesn't define you, all right. The person or the situation that you're currently in doesn't define you. It's all about where you're going and the possibilities in this world, okay. So just be optimistic, all right. It's okay to have days where you're just like, fuck, what am I doing this for? Like, what's the point of all this? I ain't getting anywhere, all right? And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with days like that. We all have days like that, all right? I'm here for you. I support you. It is what it is, but understand where we're going, all right? Focus on the goal. Focus on the mission, all right? Eyes on the target. Eyes on the prize, always. Anyway, let's get into misconceptions and myths about money, all right? Then obviously we'll get into the two things that you see on the PowerPoint, the who behind the only two things that we need to know about money, okay? The who behind money, the three hows, how do you get it, keep it, and get it to multiply, because that's the whole purpose here, right? We're playing in an ocean, a pool of money, okay? How do we get it to multiply, all right? How do we keep it and get it to multiply? Okay, so the money starts making money for us. All right, that's the goal here. All right, passive income, always, 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 always. Sorry, we go less than, well, about 2 minutes now, okay, until open range is complete, and we'll have some price levels where we're at, because right now we just have time, all right, and time with no price, there is nothing, right? We have the most important thing in trading, we have time, all right, but we don't have price, so there's nothing for us to do here. Just sitting back, talking about money and mindset, getting our money and mindset right, okay, for the weekend, so we know what the hell we're doing with our money once we get it. Okay, so many of us have been misled about the true nature of money, all right, and that's what keeps some of us in the 99% club, okay, but that's not our goal here. Our goal here is to get to the 1% club, right? So one myth and the first misconception about money is that money is evil. Money is evil. Money is evil. Money is the root of all evil. Have you heard that? Have you heard that saying? That's not even how the saying goes. Is the love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil. The love of money, all right? Money itself, it's not evil, right? The belief that pursuing wealth is inherently wrong or greedy, right? This is what, when people say they want to be comfortable, make other people that want more feel some type of way, you feel me? There's nothing about wanting more, all right, for you, for your family, for your community, for your country, okay? There's nothing about wanting more. Money is not evil. It's the love of money. It's the love of money that's evil, okay? So all around the world, right, these are misconceptions and myths about money that's keeping us broke, all right? All right. Another one is that money is hard to get. Money is hard to, you know what, because there's another point too. Hold on. Let me put you guys on the right thing, because let's do this one. Let's do it right. Come on now. Ooh, it's 10 o'clock. Hey, why are you not working? There we go. Back on it. Bear me as I get ready to get my open range high and low up in here. Now, this is the dealer range you use for the session if you want to determine a session bias, okay? Because each session has its own opening range, okay? So this is what will determine your session bias, all right? The dealer range that I use in the morning is for the day, for my session, my daily bias, okay? My daily condition going into that day, all right? For the session, all right, it will be opening range high and low. That's what will determine your session bias. Remember, there's different dealing ranges and they all have a purpose. What's the high of this candle? 3575, 3575. We went to it, all right, but not through it. So they have the same high here. We haven't taken either side yet. It went to it, but not through it. I like it. To it and through it. To it and through it. That's key, all right? Remember that. To it and through it, all right? It has to go through. It has to go to it and through the external liquidity, all right, for me to regard it as being rated. Just like the market structure shift, it has to go to it and through it. All right, so the belief that money is hard to get, all right, And then obviously we always talk about it takes money to make money. It doesn't. All right, we'll talk about the 4 things it takes to get money. All right, this belief can discourage people from seeking financial success or investing in their future. Right, when you're told that money is hard to get, right, what are you gonna think? Right, money is hard to get, and if you think money is hard to get, what is it gonna be? It's gonna be hard to get. Right, a man thinketh, so he is. Right, if you think you can't get it, then you won't get it. If you think you can get it, you will get it, right? It all starts up here with your mindset, okay, and how you think about money, all right? That's why money and mindset is crucial, right? To a successful life, is crucial to a successful endeavor in anything that you're trying to get into, okay? There's also this belief that, all right, it takes money to make money. We actually can't make money, all right? We physically cannot make money. So the term to make money is null and void, all right? We can't make money, all right? It's illegal for us to make money, all right? It's our job to get the money. We don't make the money. The money's been made by the who behind money, okay? Which we already know is central banks, right? They're the ones that are allowed to make the money. It's our job, once they've made that money, to get the money, all right? And it doesn't take money to make money. Yes, it's easier, right, to get more money when you have money, but it doesn't take money to make money. All right, it takes courage, it takes creativity, it takes persistence, and it takes action, all right, to get money. These 4 things, everybody here that can hear my voice, all right, if you can hear my voice, you have these 4 things, okay? That means you can get the money, all right? You can get the money. All right, money can't buy happiness. Money can't buy happiness. We hear this a lot. We hear this a lot. No, 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 no. But there's nothing above it. Da 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 da. We haven't taken it yet though. Went to it but not through it, to it but not through it. Money can't buy happiness. It can't buy you love. It can't do none of that. This statement is partially true, all right? It's partially true. Excuse me. Money literally cannot buy you happiness, but it can buy you the things, the experiences, all right, that does bring you joy, bring you happiness, all right? Money itself, right, cannot buy you happiness. Is a tool, right? What do we do with tools? We use them for our benefit, right? So money, although money can't buy you happiness, all right, it can provide you with a life, all right, that brings you joy, brings you happiness, and a fulfilling life, okay? Money isn't everything. Money isn't everything. We often hear that, money isn't everything, but what does it really mean, right? What does that mean? Money isn't everything. This statement, this misconception, this myth that we're made to believe is true, okay, is the half truth, okay? While money isn't everything, right, it isn't the only important thing, it is essential for securing basic needs and creating opportunities, okay? Money, like I said, is a tool, all right? It can be used to enhance life, provide for loved ones, and contribute to society, okay? All right. True value of money, all right? The true value of money lies in what it enables you to do, all right? Pursue your passions, okay? Support family and make a difference. While money isn't everything, it's a powerful enabler that can significantly, right, impact our lives when managed wisely. Now, you've done nothing for me here by doing that, because we didn't take it up here. We didn't trade to it and through it. So there's still nothing for me to do here in this price action. So we just wait patiently and let price do its thing. But for now, hold on. Bear with me. I'm back from my attack. I'm seeing this supporting time frame today is making itself apparent to me today. It is auditioning mad hard today. It said, what did you say about me? What did you say about me, girl? That's 2 setups already right there. All right. You talking all that shit about me. That's 2 setups I could have given you already. All right. So, right. We watching you. We paying attention. Because obviously 15 seconds is not as low as you can get, obviously, because it goes low. We have 5 seconds, we have 1 second, but for me it's the lowest I'm getting, right, in terms of lower time frames. Okay, even if the seconds is just but it's 10 o'clock obviously completed right here, right? It's early, it's a lower time frame, right? It starts to move quick earlier, but it also, there's a 2 parts, right, to the 15 seconds, right? Starts to move early, but it can also be false, right? It has a high probability of giving you false setups, okay? But we do trade above its, all right, opening range high here, 10 o'clock, it completes that. So hold on, so this might actually be, yeah, still wrong in the fact that it's not that high, right? I would have to back test that. One day is not enough for me to be like, yeah, let me drop everything I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? There's not enough data. But it is interesting. Very much so. Because I see it right here. 34.75. 34.75. Excuse me. Yeah. Cool. I'll keep an eye on that moving forward. Nothing here for me to do, all right? Anyway, back to money and mindset. Making sure the mic is on. So the power of financial education, all right? The key to financial success lies in understanding how money truly works, okay? Also, the key to understanding the reason behind why these candlesticks move the way that they do, all right, is understanding how money truly works, how it really moves, and the who behind it, okay? So financial literacy is very vital, all right? It's something that's not widely taught. It's not taught in schools, okay? Anyway, I don't know why it's not taught like that in schools, obviously, because there's an agenda, all right? And I don't want to be the conspiracy person, but just know that if there's a lack of something in any area of life, wherever you stay, all right, there's a reason for that. There's a reason, and there's a purpose why there's a lack in something for it, okay? Anyway, let me get on with my point. Knowledge of money management, okay? Money managers, all right? That's what we do here. Our job here, remember? 2 crucial realizations, right? One of them is that all traders are money managers, right? As a trader, your ability to manage money is vital, right, to your survival in this industry and in life as we know it, okay? So we're all money managers, right? It doesn't matter what you do in life, you're a money manager, all right? Investments and savings can transform one's financial situations, but wealth building, right, is something that it's not widely taught. It's not taught in schools. I went to college for 4 years, all right, and no one really in that school taught me about wealth building, right? Obviously, there's teachers themselves, they're not on the path to build wealth really and truly, okay? They're making 50K, 60K a year, all right? And even in accounting, right, in accounting class, the teachers are making 60 to 50K, and then they're teaching kids about money. Like it just make it make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make dollars. Anyway, financial education allows individuals to grow their wealth through informed decision, okay? If you don't know what you don't know, all right? And you can't blame your parents for not teaching you, okay? Because the information is out there. Like, information is literally on this device that we carry everywhere, on our tracking device, all right? Our tracking device that we carry everywhere has every information, right? We have more information now, right? In this day and age, even too much information, right? It can be an information overload sometimes, actually. We have more information on this tiny ass device, all right, than they did back in, 20 years ago. Like, come on now. And there's so many opportunities nowadays. People are making money just playing video games online. Like, come on now. Come on now. Come on! Remember, it takes 4 things to get that money: creativity, persistent action, and courage. All right? If you have these 4 things, right, these are the 4 things that you need. All right? When you make more money, it actually robs you of these 4 things because you think that, oh, I have more money now, so I'm safe. All right? No. You make money, you get rid of that money, and you go back and you strengthen the 4 things. All right? Creativity, active action, courage, and persistence. All right, overcoming misconception, all right, by educating yourself, right, and seeking more knowledge about what you currently know about money, right, can dispel myths and empower people to take control of their finances, all right. Investing in your financial education is the first step towards financial independence and a secure future, all right. First investment, the only investment that will never fail you is the investment you make in yourself, okay. So you have to invest in yourself and seek the knowledge, seek the information, because it's out there, right. There's people in the 1%. If just one person can be part of the 1%, then there's a possibility for everybody on this planet to join that 1%, okay. If one person can do it, we can all do it. And that's the mindset you need to have about money, okay. That's the mindset you need to have about money. This is the most important question, right? To ask yourself, what do you believe to be true about money that isn't true? What do you currently, right now, believe to be true about money that isn't true? That somebody out there has proven that, yo, this is not fact. You may think that this is fact, but this is not fact, right? What do you believe to be true about money that isn't true? What? Shut up. Sorry, not you. What do you believe to be true about money that isn't true? Trust but verify, right? Trust. I see you. Don't worry. I'm watching you. I'm watching you. 15 seconds. Don't worry. I'm paying very close attention to you today. You auditioning mad hard today, and I'm clocking your movements. Right now, nothing for me to do in these charts. All right. I'm waiting till post 10:30, going into 10:50 macro. All right. But right now, that 15 seconds is drawing my attention like a motherfucker. And that comes with time and experience. Once you're looking at something for so long and so many times, it starts to just jump out at you, right? Because I don't really be paying the 15 seconds no mind. It's been on the charts for a while now. I haven't really been paying it any mind. But today of all days, it's like it's taking over my attention today. She's auditioning hard as hell today. Boy, what? Shit, don't play with me. You've been talking all that shit about me. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. What do you believe to be true about money that isn't true? What have you been told? All right, and who told you? And what was the financial condition of the person that told you that thing, right? Was it coming from a rich person, a wealthy person, a middle class person, a broke person? Who was it coming from? Who told you that, right? And is it true? Have you done the research, right? Has somebody out there proven that what you know to be true about money really isn't true, right? Have you seek the knowledge, seek the information, trust but verify, right? Even though I've saw my own research and seek the information for myself. Just because I'm saying it, right, doesn't make it truth, doesn't make it law, right? Everything that we do here is for educational purposes only, right? It's for you to then go into that information. I provide the information. You dig deeper into that information and see if there's truth behind it, right? Or if I'm just talking out my ass, right? Because I could just be out here talking out my ass, right? The internet has given everybody a voice now, and everybody has opinions, just like assholes. We all have them, all right? And not everybody's opinions is correct, and not everybody is out for your benefit, okay? Not everybody is looking out for your well-being or trying to better your life, okay? There's people that are just spewing shit just to spew shit, right? And just stirring up the pot for no reason, okay? And there's people that are just doing hateful things on the internet just cause, right? That's just their nature, right? But that's why don't take anything that anybody says on internet as law or that it is what it is. Do your own research, right? Anywho, we talked about that already. Oh no, this is what I meant. It ain't done. I can actually delete all of those things. It's unnecessary. I don't need them there. Like I said, is a work in progress here. We're work in progress. We're work in progress. Right? Okay, so there's only two things that we need to know about money. All right, it doesn't matter what you've been taught, what you believe to be true about money. There's only two things you need to know about money. All right, we need to know the who behind money and how the three hows. How do you get it, keep it, and get it to multiply? These are the only two things that you need to know about money. So disregard everything else that you've been taught about money. Right, disregard it. All right, or do your research, right? Don't listen to me, right? Do your research and see if it's pertinent for you to know that information that you already currently know about money, okay? But for me, all right, these are the only things that I need to know about money. These are the only two things I'm focused on when it comes to money. Is the who behind it, okay? Because once you understand the who behind money, these candlesticks makes 100% more sense, okay? And why they move the way that they move, all right? Why Ifta does the things that she does, all right? And also the three hows, how do you get it, keep it, and get it to multiply? Because you can't make money. It's illegal for us to make money. Only the who behind money can make money, okay? If once that money is made, it's our job to get it, keep it, and then get it to multiply, all right? Get that money making more money for us, passive income. That's our goal here, all right? That's our goal here. The who behind money, the who behind money, the who behind money. So obviously the answers are on the screen already, okay? And we already talked about it. It's not the first time we're doing money and mindset, okay? So we already talked about it. But this information, right, is going to need to be drilled into your head over and over and over and over and over and over again, okay? And you'll hear certain things depending on the season that you're in, right? Even though you're hearing the same information over and over and over again, it will start to make more sense when you're when you evolve, all right? Depending on the season and the experience level where you're at, you'll hear the information that you need to hear, and it'll be like the puzzle pieces will start clicking. It will start clicking, okay? So when I started obviously learning more about money, I was hearing the same information over and over and over and over again. I bought a course. I've been listening to that course over and over and over and over and over and over again. All right. And as I go back, even now these days, I'm hearing different things that I heard back then. I'm like, whoa, he's been saying that the whole time. And at that time, I wasn't really looking at it like that, right? That's why it's very important to surround yourself with the right people and hear the same information over and over and over and over again, okay? So the who behind money. Money is created and controlled by central banks. Okay, central banks. Every country has a central bank. Okay, every country has a central bank, all right? So money is created and controlled by central banks, which are institutions responsible for managing a nation's currency, money supply, interest rates. Okay, for the US, this would be the Fed, right? The Federal Reserve. That's the US Central Bank, okay? The European Central Bank for Europe, all right? And for England is the Bank of England. So every nation, every country has a central bank, and they are responsible for managing a nation's currency, its money supply, and interest rates, okay? Central banks, all right, have the authority to print physical currency, or once again, they're the only ones that can make money, okay? They can make the money, okay? They have the authority to print physical currency and create digital money through the banking system, okay? The concept that we know as money, I'm seeing you here. We don't have time on my side right now, but I've been noticing a lot of things not happening in the time that I'm looking for it to happen. And obviously that's with more data and more experience, I'll be able to trade outside of the time I'm looking to take a trade. But for now, I'm content with sticking to when I'm looking to take a trade. Anyway, back to money and mindset. I will be waiting until, okay, so we've hit consequent encroachment of open range gap. We still have a portion of it left open here. Okay, let's see price's willingness to completely fill in open range gap here. We've taken open range sell side, okay? So for the session, right, our condition has been identified as a sell program, which is going against our daily session, going against our weekly session, okay? So it's always good to be aware of what our daily program is, what our weekly program is, and what our session program is, okay? So we know exactly what's going on with price action. This potentially could here form a, even though it'll be a retracement set up for the session, right? It could be a continuation, right, for the daily and the weekly to continue higher. So that's how obviously the sessions come together, okay, to create this whole big picture of price action. Okay, so the concept or the thing that we know and recall as money, right, is the asset and commodity of the central banks. They own it, they control it, they set the price of it, okay? It's their commodity, all right? Just like if you own a shoe store, who sets the price of the shoes? The owner of the shoe store. So if you own money, you set the price of money because it's your commodity, it's your asset, you control it, okay? That's very important. Once I understood that concept, all right, these candlesticks and why it moves the way that it moves, and understanding that it's controlled and there's people behind the scenes controlling it. This is why, and these are the people doing it, okay? This is why, and these are the people doing it. This is why, and these are the people doing it, okay? So then the question comes, how is money controlled, right? How are the central banks controlling money, right? How are they controlling money? Okay, so we've taken sell side, we've come into an inefficiency, market structure shift back below here. We already have something here, so let's drag this one. I'll be paying attention here for a continuation to the sell side. Until that, nothing for me to do though. Okay, I won't be engaging in it. Just watching for now, just watching. But on the 15 seconds, we're taking liquidity below external, market structure shift back above it. I'm watching this retracement set up on the 15 seconds. It's just jumping out at me today, the 15 seconds. Back and forth and back and forth. You know what? Looking back at it now, right? When I used to be on the 15 seconds, obviously I didn't have my current processes and procedures that I was following. There's a lot. My eyes is being opened a lot today right now on the 15 seconds. It's just it's really showing itself right now today. Because my issue that's been with the 15 seconds is always been with me. It's not the time frame, it's always been the trader itself. For me at the time, in terms of what I was looking for, it was giving me too many setups and too many false setups, okay? But now that the processes has been refined into specific key levels and not too many key levels, because before I had too many key levels on the chart, and obviously the 15 seconds, once it hit that key level, it always was just offering setups, and majority of them was false setups or too early, or it was just doing too much for me. But now, with where I'm at right now, in what I'm seeing, what I've been seeing in the 15 seconds, obviously it's going to take losses, right? There's still losses involved, right? That's the only thing promised to us. But so far, it's been, I think the wins outweigh the losses so far, from what I've been seeing and the data I've been gathering. All right, we see. I'm gonna backtest it to this weekend. This weekend. I see you. Don't worry. So far, three setups so far, okay, that I've seen clearly on the 15-second time frame. This one obviously wouldn't have. It's a small range though. Yeah. But time-wise, right? Time-wise, we didn't really have it, but it's done its duties. You know what I mean? It's done what it needs to do. One of these days, on a day or week with no. Oh, tomorrow is a action. Well, tomorrow next week is an action pack. It's NFP week. Whoa, May's done already? You're kidding me, right? Shit. Our next entry drill, whenever that is, our next entry drill will be very much focused on the 15 seconds. For sure. I go give it its time. 100%. Next time we do an entry drill, it'll be based on the 15 seconds. Hold on. Getting hit by a wave. I caught myself. Right? Mic was off and I started to rumble. Anyway, how is the money being controlled? Right? Central banks, all right, control the money supply through the open market where they buy and sell government bonds. Okay, when central banks purchase bonds, when they purchase government bonds, they're injecting money into the economy, increasing the money supply. Conversely, when they sell government bonds, right, they pull money out of circulations, tightening the money supply. Okay, so they're in here buying and selling government bonds, and that's how they're controlling the money in the economy. Okay, so when there's too much money in the economy, they do is they sell government bonds and pull money out of circulation. And when there's little to no money in circulation, they buy government bonds. Okay, that puts money in circulations as well. Okay, so that's how they're controlling the money. It's being controlled in the open market. Let's look up the definition of open market. An open market is a freely competitive economic market where buyers and sellers trade without artificial barriers or external constraints. Prices are determined entirely by the natural forces of supply and demand. Oh, lies they tell by supply and demand. Obviously, if you're trading or investing in commodities, there's a real supply and demand factors, right, in commodities, because these are actual commodities that we need in life, all right? But in terms of everything else, this is BS. But anyway, rather than by government price controls or monopolies. Oh, yeah. It's so funny, right? How we're indoctrinated to think these things, right? But it is what it is. Hey, if you want to believe what Google says, you believe what Google says, right? It is what it is. An open market is an economic system where goods and services can be bought and sold with minimal restrictions. Da 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 da. So there you go. Now there you go, there you go, there you at, there you at, where you at, where you at? Peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly. I say peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly, peanut butter. It's Friday, last day of the week. Last day of the week. Money and mindset Friday. Get your money right. Get your money right. But anyway, now we know what open market is, right? This is where the money supply, right, is being controlled. This is where the money is being controlled at, right, on the open market, buying and selling government bonds, okay, all right. Additionally, central banks influence the economy by setting interest rates. So when we have FOMC, all right, the Fed meetings, this is the central banks, all right, when they set interest rates, which affects borrowing costs and spending behaviors. You know what? Something that I do want more information on. I really want to know when interest rate is increased. Okay, there we go. This is what I meant. This is what I want to know. Interest rates are a critical tool used by central banks like the US Federal Reserve to manage the economy. Lowering rates makes borrowing cheaper, which encourages consumers to spend and business to invest. Raising rates make borrowing more expensive, which slows down spending and helps control inflation. Okay, so when the lower rates, all right, it makes borrowing cheaper. It means you can go ahead and borrow money for a cheaper rate. And when they increase it, okay, it makes it more expensive. Okay, this is the one thing that always like confuse me. Like when the what difference does it make when the lower and the increase interest rates? Okay, so interesting fact there to know. So when it goes lower, it makes it cheaper. When it goes higher, it makes borrowing more expensive. Okay, I can remember that. I can fuck with that. That's one thing I did write down about interest rates that I wanted to clarify the information on. So trust but verify, innit? The information is out there, right? You just have to seek it. You have to be on the right path. You have to be on the right mindset. You have to be around the right people that will trigger your curiosity, right? That will make you want to ask these kind of questions. And for me, I want to be around people, right, that want to talk about money, how we can get it, how we can keep it, and how we can get it to multiply. I don't really want to be around people that just want to live a comfortable life, right? I want to be around people that are on the same path or actually going to where I want to go in life, okay? And those are the people that I want to be around. All right, completely filling in open range gap there. Hey, it would have given you, it would have took you to break even right there. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe it would have missed you at break even. But that's cool. Still would have given you some partials there. Would have given you some partials. Now there you go. There you go. There you at. Where you at? So lowering interest rates makes it cheaper. Increasing interest rates makes it expensive to borrow money. Cool. That's something that, sometimes my brain just cannot comprehend what the effect was. Okay. Central banks play a significant role in shaping economic conditions, impacting everything from inflation rates to the availability of credit, and ultimately influencing the financial well-being of individuals, businesses, and the economy. Okay, so They are the liquidity provider in these markets. Okay, they provide the liquidity, and us here are unwilling, right? Speculative, like we are the liquidity, right? Us small fishes, we are the liquidity, all right? Central banks are the only ones that can provide the liquidity. They are the liquidity providers because this is their casino, this is their asset, this is their playground, okay? They didn't make this for us to make money, okay? They made this to cannibalize us, all right? Not us particularly, obviously, all right? Right, but it's not for us to be here making money, okay? They didn't make these markets, this casino, for them to lose money or for us to make money. Obviously, they have to let some people win, right? Just like the casino, right? You have to let people win to give other people around that casino the idea that, hey, that could potentially be me, or I just need to keep putting more money into the slot machine, okay? Just understand that everything around you is designed with a purpose and with a reason, okay? It is a simulation after all, right? It is a simulation. We are in the Matrix. If you haven't seen the movie Matrix, go watch it. We are in the Matrix, all right? And movies and shows, all right, really, it's just a way for them to tell you what they're doing without telling you upfront what they're doing, okay? The shit that be happening on in movies and in shows are really the shit that be going on, all right? It's just is right in your view, like, but we, some of us, we aren't awake here, okay? We're still in the Matrix. We haven't taken the blue or red pill yet, right? I always forget which pill it was. Hold on. Yeah, which pill did Neo take? No, 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 no. He takes the red pill. It's the red pill. Take the red pill, all right? Take the red pill, not the blue pill, all right? I'm here to provide you with the red pill, all right? And it's your job to take it, all right? You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make that horse drink that water, okay? All right? I can give you that blue red pill, okay? But I cannot make you take the red pill, all right? It has to be a conscious personal choice. All right, if you want to wake up from this matrix, you take that red motherfucking pill. All right, little unknown secret, or how they're controlling the money. All right, central banks, right, also own hedge funds, which they use to manage financial risk and stabilize the market. Okay, so they're not just buying and selling, okay? They secretly own hedge funds, all right, that are in these markets buying and selling government bonds. All right, they already have, it's their casino, right? They built it. They know the loopholes. They know how it works, how it moves, why it moves, and where to jump on board, when to jump on board. Okay, so they're in here, right? That little, when we talked about on Trading Edge, the little small group of people, smart money. All right, this is what we're talking about. All right, central banks, which is why I believe like hedge funds are the way to go. Okay, because this is how they're controlling the economy. That's how they're playing the game here, okay? So I'm trying to get on the back of these titans of this world. Right? Every day you wake up, you're fighting titans, and if you ain't prepared, if you ain't training every day, right, you're gonna lose. They're gonna wipe you clean, swipe you up. As you can see, we took buy side, right? People that want to see price keep going higher. A lot of people have their stops below these lows here. We have relative equal lows down here. London session sell side and opening dealing range sell side. We also have Asia session sell side below price, right? There's a lot of stops down here that IPTA is seeking. All right. Remember, it moves for two reasons: seek liquidity above and below price, all right, to reprice into any inefficiency above and below price. All right. It's always seeking liquidity and it's always seeking to refill inefficiencies in price. Hold on. It's a crazy, crazy world out there. It's a crazy, crazy world out there. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. Okay? You want to play it safe? There ain't nothing as safe. Nothing, 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 nothing. Wow, 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 wow. Crazy. Time, price. All right, what we seeing here? Da 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 da. Nothing really here. Wowza, 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 wowza. So once you know the who behind money, right? How do we get it, keep it, and get it to multiply, right? The three hows. This takes us to the wealth creation equation and formula, all right? This is where the information diverts, okay? This is where 99% go one way and the 1% club go the other way, okay? We need to know what the 99% do, all right? So we can know what not to do, all right? And then see what the 1% are doing so we can know where we're going, what we're doing. Now, when it comes to creating and building wealth, all right, there's only two vehicles, right? There are two vehicles to build wealth, right? These are the only two vehicles you need to build wealth, right? First is earned income. This is income derived from an employment or business, okay, right? Money is earned through work or service provided, all right? This is will come in a form of a salary, a wage, freelance work, or other active income streams, okay? The role of earned income, right, is a foundation for initial wealth creation, determines the resources you have to invest and build further, okay? This is heavily taxed, all right, at 40 to 50% most of the times, okay? And then the second wealth building vehicle, all right, passive income. This is the goal. We all start with earned income. We have to start with earned income, right? But the goal is to create and build passive income, right, which is the second wealth building vehicle. Okay, passive income, all right, is income derived from rental properties and limited partnerships. Wait, 950 macro, 950 macro. I mean 1050 macro, sorry, 1050 macro. We have a lot of key levels here, okay? So let's pay attention to what price wants to do here. But anyway, passive income is money earned with minimal activity involvement, okay? The sources here are investment, rental income, royalties, and dividends, okay? The role of passive income is the ultimate goal, right? Provides financial freedom by generating income without direct daily effort, okay? Here you're not actively really engaged in the making of the money or the getting of the money, okay? But passive income is taxed zero to little to zero taxes, okay? So 0 to 20% is like half the taxing of earned income, okay? And this is the goal. This is our mission here. This is where we want to get to, more passive income than earned income, okay? Because the goal is obviously get the money, keep it. How you keep it is by reducing your expenses, reducing your taxes, all right? And then you get that money to multiply, get that money working for you, all right? Making more money, get that money working as hard or harder than you did to get that money initially, okay? So these are the two wealth building vehicles that we need, right? We need, first we obviously need earned income, and then we need passive income, okay? So the goal here, when you're earning income, right, this Friday, when you're going into this weekend, all right, you've obviously worked your 40 hours, all right? This week we worked your 40 hours. Now, how do you get to the next wealth building vehicle? How do you get to passive income, right? You earn the income. How do you get to the next wealth building vehicle, which is passive income, which we'll get into today, all right? So go into the weekend, right, thinking, how can I get more passive income? I worked this week, I got my earned income, it's taxed heavily. How do I take this earned income and make it and build passive income? gives it to me, I'll be interested here. It'll be a retracement based on a session, but a continuation based on the daily, based on weekly. We do have relative equal laws down here, which I'm aware of, okay? So if this trade fails, right, obviously it will be giving me information. Crazy, crazy, crazy world we live in, man. Whew. We I'm back, I'm back, I'm back. I almost started. I almost started. Road to wealth creation, okay? The first step in building any real wealth, right, is to create a source of income, okay? Without income, there is no capital to invest and build upon, okay? So your first step in your on your path to building wealth is to create income, all right? Is to have a source of income, earned income at that, okay? All right, so this takes us to the wealth equation. All right, this is the wealth equation, and then we'll get into the formula to overcome this equation. Okay, my favorite subject in school was always math. Okay, and it was complicated math. It wasn't like mental math. I talk about how I'm not good at mental math, right? I like math, all right, complicated math, because every equation had a formula. Every equation had a formula, meaning if you understood the formula, right? If you knew the formula, if you had the formula and you input the correct data into that formula, right? It didn't matter the numbers of the question, right? You would, or if you followed the step-by-step formula with the right data in that formula, okay, you would always end up with the right answer, right? And that's why math was always one of my favorite subjects, all right? Same with the equation of wealth building, right? There's an equation, but there's also a formula to that equation. And if you follow the formula step by step with the right data, all right, because that's important, all right. You have to put, if you put the wrong data, right, obviously you're gonna get the wrong question because it's the wrong data you inputted. If you input the wrong data into a calculator, it's gonna give you the wrong answer, right? Because you put the wrong information into the calculator to begin with. Okay, so you have to put the right data. That's the most important part. Put the right data and follow the formula step by step. It doesn't matter the question, right? You'll always get the right answer. All right, the same with wealth creation equation. There's an equation and there's a formula for that equation, all right? You just need to follow the formula step by step. Success leaves clues, right? There's people that have joined the 1% club, and majority of them, obviously, they're lucky enough. They're not lucky enough. They're generous enough, right, to leave behind clues and tell us how they got to where they got to. Okay, you just have to the wheel has already been built. We don't need to invent a new wheel. Okay, it's just about following what's already been proven that works out there, and just following the formula, putting the right information into that formula, all right, and obviously getting the right answer at the end of the equation. Okay, so when it comes to the equation, okay, we have gross income, and how that is determined is that we spend our time, right? Take our most valuable commodity, our time, most valuable commodity, just like money is a commodity of the central banks, our time is our commodity. And it's our most valuable commodity at that. Obviously, we take liquidity below it, market structure shift back above up here. Okay, but I want this one. I see you though. I'm watching, collecting the data on that. To it, but not do it. High 9.5, 9.550. Didn't even go to it. Yeah, this one. No, not even. Not even. I'm looking for 2475. $11.11. This is a continuation trade based on daily condition, based on weekly condition, but it's a retracement setup based on the session condition. Gave us an earlier entry down in here, okay? Trade is currently out of my hands, okay? It's in the market, the model, and the trade management's hands. Nothing I can do here, but just pretty much pay attention to the candlesticks to see if I'm offside. So if I'm showing me the details or characteristics that I'm on side or offside. In terms of reducer risk, we're one contract Larry, so really can't even reduce risk in this trade. But as you can see, -2, perfect alignment with open range buy side, which is a potential draw on liquidity right now. No. Obviously, supporting time frame. Then this is what I meant by there's multiple false entries in on this 15 seconds. Obviously, we took sell side below here, market structure shift here. You would have took a loss there. Obviously, then we took sell side here, market structure shift back above. Would have given you another opportunity to jump back on board. So this on the 15 seconds, all right, you can get in a tad early and take a loss, okay? And that's why I like to see at least a 1 minute inefficiency or liquidity raid before engaging the 15 seconds. So with that being said, and I would want to see it come into at least mean threshold of it. So it would have been this one and this one. Yeah, still would have been a loss there, and it still would have been a loss. Actually, that would have been buy side. Yeah, would have taken a loss. However you slice and dice it, would have taken a loss here. But obviously would have given you another opportunity to come back on board here. Cool. I'm not asking for too much, right? This is like, even I think it's less than a 1-to-1, to be honest. Doesn't even make it to a 1-to-1. Just about. A little bit under 1-to-1. But like I said, it's out of my hands. It's out of my hands. Nothing I can do about it now. But anyway, gross income, right? We take our most valuable asset, right? Time, right? We trade that time to a job, a work, all right? We work. And then at the end of the week, like today, some people are getting their gross income, right, which is earned income. Okay, gross income is the total earnings before any deductions. This is the money you have to work with initially. Okay, it's calculated based on your total earnings, based on the amount of time you invest and the effort you put in. So whatever the position that you're in, all right, whatever that job, that company values that position and the time you spend at the job that you do in that place, all right, that's your gross income. Okay, that's obviously without your taxes being deducted. All right, so gross income minus taxes and expenses equals your net income. Right, this is still your earned income. Net income is what you have left over for investments after taxes and expenses have been deducted. Okay, deductions from your gross income include government taxes and personal living expenses like rent, mortgage, healthcare, transportation, all like that, yada, food, all of that, jazz. Okay, net income is the amount left over of the taxes and expenses which is available for investments. Okay, so everybody has net income. Now, where they invest their net income is where the path to wealth obviously diverts, okay? But this is the equation, all right? Time times work equals gross income. Gross income minus taxes and expenses equals your net income. Net income is what you have to left over after all your expenses have been reduced, taken out from your gross income, is what you have left over for investments, okay? Now, this is where the path to wealth diverts for majority of people, right? This is where the path to wealth diverts for majority of people. For the 99%, right, their net income is spent on lifestyle and entertainment. Okay, so just like the weekend, it's Friday, we outside, we popping bottles, we going to the club, we drinking, we buying this, we buying that, we going shopping, going to the mall. All right, 99% of the crowd here, right, will spend their net income on lifestyle and entertainment. All right, this often leads to additional expenses and the need to continuously trade time for money. Okay, this leads to a cycle of working to maintain their lifestyle without substantial growth in wealth. Okay, so they're investing, right? Everybody invests, but it's just about what they're investing in, right? They invest in the lifestyle and entertainment, not thinking about passive income or getting their money to work for them. Okay, so going into this weekend, right, don't be part of the 99% club. Don't be part of the 99% club. You trade your time, your most valuable asset, 40 hours for some people is more than 40 hours. Okay, people that work for themselves is more than 40 hours. Right, now you traded that time, your most valuable asset, you made an income, right? gross income, you deduct your taxes and your expenses from it, right? What's left is your net income, what you have left over for investments. Don't go spend it on lifestyle and entertainment. That's what the 99% does, right? In order to avoid what they do, you need to know what they do, right? And avoid not being part of that crowd. Anyway, would have got bread and butter set up right there. All right, know what they do and avoid what they do, right? This is what you don't. This is the path you don't want to take. But this is the path where the 99% of people on this planet take, right? They want to impress the next person. Like, nobody gives a damn what you have or don't have. Nobody cares, right? You buy an expensive watch, an expensive car, people see it for the first time, like, oh, that's cool. But after that, the novelty wears away. Like, build passive income and then do that. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's what the 99% do. They spend their time to get money, to spend that money on lifestyle and entertainment. Then they're back to trading their time for money again, and they're stuck in that cycle. Okay, the why the 1% deviate from the 99%, right? Is how they invest their net income. How they invest their net income. Okay, they invest it first in themselves. All right, they enhance their skills, their knowledge, in what they don't know. Right. They get that information, right? Then once they know what they know, they invest in their business, right? Once the business is making surplus income, then they invest in income producing assets, all right? Creating passive income, right? Investments lead to passive income streams that generate money with minimal effect, okay? Minimal active effect, okay? The purpose of this, all right? Passive income buys them time, leading to financial freedom and the ultimate goal of wealth creation. Okay, that is the ultimate goal of wealth creation. We're not creating wealth just to create wealth. We're creating wealth to buy us more time. Okay, this is where you make money, you get that net income, you invest in yourself, you invest in your business, you invest in income producing assets such as real estate or into limited partnerships. Okay, what a limited partnership is just like our fund here that we're building. Okay, if you invest with us, right, you become a limited partner with us, right? You're not actively trading the money, we're trading your money. Okay, and you're just getting a distribution, so you're not actively engaged in the getting of the money. Okay, you're just an investor, and then that money is taxed little to zero, okay, percent. All right, that's what a limited partnership is. All right, you can be a limited partnership into a business. Okay, you can invest your money into a business. Okay, you're not actively involved in that business, and when that business makes money, obviously you're getting a portion of that cut, and that's what a limited partnership is. All right, isn't you're a limited partner, you're not really involved in the day-to-day of the business or what's going on. Okay, nothing for me to do here, right? I just have to let the price action do its thing, and if it's going to come and take me out, it's a risk that we take. It's a risk that we take in trading. It is what it is. Losses are the only thing promised to us here. Okay, losses are the only thing promised to us. It's about managing that loss, managing our risk. Anyway, and this is how our path to wealth deviates, right? In order to join the 1% club, we need to know what they do with their money and how they invest and what they're investing in. And this is the sequence in which they invest. First, they invest in themselves, then invest in their business, and then they invest in income producing assets that buys them passive income, buys them ultimate freedom. Okay, which is the goal of wealth creation, is to buy yourself freedom. They get their money working for them, money making more money. Money works harder than we do. Okay, so the goal is to get your money working as hard or harder than you did to make that money. So we all invest, right? We all invest. It's just about what we're investing in, right? That's where the path differs, all right? And that's why you need to be aware where it differs. Where does the split occurs, right? Why are 99% of people still stuck in this thing where the 1% club are like, they're just making money regardless of what the hell is going on in the economy, right? Regardless of what's going on outside of them, they're making money. When Black Swan events hits, all right, it's the 99% of people that suffer the most. And the 1% club, they thrive during Black Swan events, okay, because they have the capital and the means to do things when Black Swan events happens. All right, when Black Swan events happens, massive opportunities are created. It's tragic, right? It's a tragic event that happens, but massive opportunity creates for people that are prepared and are ready for it, right? People that are in a position to take advantage of what's happening around them, right? And that's the 1%. That's how they thrive. We're going to do a trade performance review in a bit here, all right, because we're done here, okay? Nothing for us to do right now. We came back into first Prezi on the 15-minute time frame, targeting these relative equal lows. I already know that these relative equal lows are potential draw on liquidity right now. It came close to London session sell side, and you think it's just going to leave it like that? Hell no! Hell no! I think it's a good spot to end it on here. What's next here is the 4 steps, and then we're done here anyway. What I did well today, all right, I'm going to do a trade performance review, but we'll stay to see the outcome of this trade, obviously. What I did well today is that I showed up, all right, I got 1% better, gained experience, learned lessons that I'll take into my next trading day, next trading session. Really got a better understanding on my support and time frame and how it behaves. Okay, obviously I know that sometimes it's going to have more false setup than others, but obviously it's just about collecting more data and building more confidence on that support and time frame. Okay, but other than that, today I showed up today. I followed my procedures, my protocols, my processes, and didn't deviate from it. Okay, so I showed up today and I've done my job. The outcome of this trade is out of my hands. Nothing I can do about it, right? I'm letting the model, the trade management, and the market do the heavy lifting. My job here as a trader, all right, as an analyst, is done. Nothing else I can do about it right now, okay? But just pay attention to the candlestick to see if I'm seeing the characteristics and what I need to see, okay, in price. Where I fell short today, once again, will be wake up time and morning routine. But like I said, during this week, once in a month type thing, I give myself a lot of grace, all right, and what's happening in my body is natural. Nothing I can do to control it. Okay, so I give myself grace, all right? So it is what it is. I'll just strive to do better next week and not have any day where I don't, achieve my morning, wake up on time and achieve my morning routine, okay? It's just set me up for a better week next week, okay? How can improve for next day, next trading session? Keep showing up, right? Keep doing what you've proven, what's proven to be working for me, okay? Keep analyzing the data, okay? Don't let short-term adversity, losses, series of losses deter you, distract you for what you got going on, okay? Your processes, your model, your precision protocols have proven themselves to you, okay? So don't let, losses, all right, which are the only thing promised to us, series of losses, that one of the 2 things promised to us here, affect me and what I'm looking for in price. Because back then, when you come into this industry and you take a series of losses, you're like, oh yeah, it's got to be the strategy, it's got to be the model, but it's not, okay? You have to give it time and you have to collect enough data and just let the probability be in your favor. Manage the risk. Capital preservation is our number 1 job here, okay? Preserve capital, all right? Understand that losses are the only thing promised to us. You're going to take a loss. It's about having procedures and protocols in place, right, that will allow you to weather a series of losing trades, okay? But other than that, solid week for me here. A lot of data collected today. It was a short trading week, really and truly. Monday was a holiday. That means Tuesday we sat still. Wednesday there was no news. Thursday and Friday. Thursday we had a crappy open range gap, which is an indication that it's not a good trading day for me, okay? So really and truly, today's been really the only solid thing for us to do, but it's been a really iffy week, all right? Not a great week, but let's see what next week has in store for us. As we saw, it's NFP next week, right? It's NFP next week. We've got an action-packed week next week, so we should see a better price action, all right, and get some better good information for next week coming out. Okay, as you can see, we've got an action-packed week coming out. It's NFP week, not for professionals. Friday, all right. Powell speaks. I thought Powell was done, mate. FOMC member Powell, he's still around? I thought Powell was done, my guys. Isn't it? What's the guy's Marsh or something? Whatever his name is. What? Anyway, I thought Powell was done, but he's still around. I'm sure he's still Powell the Fed, but he's no longer the face. But anywho, this is what our tentative schedule is looking like, right? Action-packed week next week. So we should see some good price action coming into next week. We should see some good price action coming into next week. These are the 4 steps to create wealth. These are the 4 steps to create wealth. First step 1 is create income, okay? Create income, because without income, you have nothing to build upon, okay? Step 2, you want to increase that income. Once you create income, you want to work on ways to increase that income, whether it's in your current role or your job, or you want to go outside of your job and create streams of income, okay? But I will always start with the job I'm in, okay? Or if you're in a job currently, always start within that job. Look for ways that you can increase your income, right? What more can you provide the company? What more service can you do within that role, okay, that will increase your income, okay? Once you increase the income, you don't go spend more, right? You don't go out and spending more money because now you're making more money, all right? The next step is to keep that income. And in order to keep that income, you need to reduce your tax bill and you need to reduce your expenses, okay? Trim the fat, trim the fat. What you don't need, cut it out, right? Netflix, all of these other things, subscriptions that we got going on, is a distraction, is taking your mind off the real goal and the real mission. Trim the fat. You don't need it, cut it out. Cut out the dead weight, all right, so you can keep more of your money, so your net income is fat and you have more money left over for investments, okay? So once you create income, increase that income, you want to keep that income by reducing your tax bill. There's a lot of ways, all right? Obviously I'm not a tax expert, all right? This is just information for you to go then ask the professionals who do taxes, okay? There's a lot of ways that you can reduce your tax bill, all right? We hear stories of the wealthy people, rich people paying 0 taxes, okay? But that's because they're playing the tax game and to their advantage, and we can all do that. You have to seek the information, seek the knowledge. It's out there. If one person can do it, we can all do it, all right? Especially in this game right here, there's so many tax benefits and tax savings, tax opportunities, things that you can use to reduce your taxes, to keep more of your income, so we have a fat net income left over, all right, for step 4, investment. First, you invest in yourself. You get the knowledge, all right, for the next step, so you can keep scaling yourself, all right, and scaling your business. Invest in your business. Once you invest in yourself and get the knowledge and enhance the skill sets that you need, right, that also leads to you increasing your income. Because once you invest in yourself and you increase your skill set and enhance your abilities, obviously that will lead to more income coming in, because now you know more, right? So you can charge more, you can give more, right? And then, right, you invest in income producing assets, all right, that buys you passive income, which ultimately is the goal of wealth creation, right? Buys you time, buys you freedom, and you're making money without actually having to be part of the making of the money, okay? Or you're getting money without having to be part of the actions that gets the money. I'm not feeling this price action here, okay, but there's nothing I can do, okay? So far it's showing respect for this order block here, okay? As long as we don't get a body closure in the main threshold of this order block, for now I'm okay with what price is doing, and I'm okay with where I'm at in my position. But once we get a closure, all right, once we take this low and we get a closure below mean threshold of this order block right here, that's it for this trade, and the fat lady will be singing right after that. But so far, nothing for us to do. don't know who you people are. All of a sudden, they just start sending me emails. Like, bro, unsubscribe, bro. People selling my information. Just be selling my information. Selling that information. All right. I don't want this to go on for too long. You feel me? It's difficult. It's difficult. Do something at this point. I don't even give a damn what you do. Let that fat lady sing, bruv. Let the fat lady sing so we can get out of here, enjoy the rest of our Friday. This is why I hate taking trades. Not hate it, but like, I don't like taking trades closer to the ending of my session because this is what usually happens. Oh my goodness. This whole time I've been yapping, and you probably wasn't even hearing me. That's crazy, my guy. Anyway, we're wrapping up here. We're wrapping up here. Another amazing week, a short one. Okay, but we took a lot from this week. All right, a lot of data collected, and obviously, refined our processes. All right, when we have a small open range gap, it just indicates for us it's not good. Going to be a good price action. Okay, so we just let those days go and feel no type of way about that. But we're gonna wrap up here, and then once we're done wrapping up, we'll come back to the chart and let the chart do its thing. But let's close this bitch out. Before we wrap up, there was a time that I would finish a trading session and still feel lost. Even on days I made money, I didn't really know why it worked. And on losing days, I had no system to fall back on. That's the difference between guessing and having a real edge. And here's the truth. Most traders only focus on entries, but consistency comes from the system behind the entry. So if you've been watching and thinking this makes sense, but I don't have the full system yet, that's exactly why I created the 10% to 1% club. That's where we go deeper into all three pillars: the full model, the risk management system, the money and mindset principles needed to join the 1% club, and the exact process to follow daily. If you're serious about becoming consistent, that is your next step. I used to think the goal was to win more trades, but the real goal is to become the type of trader who can perform no matter the outcome. Because once you have that, the results will follow. That's all for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next AM session, kicking off at 9:15 a.m. Kickoff once again at 9:15 a.m. To be on time is to be late, okay? So make sure you show up early. As always, I'm the trader here, signing out. Good luck, good trading, happy bloody hunting. Remember, you only fail when you quit.